What if the secret to success wasn't just talent or hard work, but unshakable confidence? Welcome to Grasp Confidence, the podcast where visionary thought leaders, speakers, and entrepreneurs unlock the mindset and strategies for lasting success. I'm your host, Tara LaFon Gooch, CEO, two-time best-selling author, and international TEDx speaker, and I can't wait to help you step into the most powerful version of yourself. Let's dive in. What if luck isn't random but intentional? Meet Josée Madison, international speaker, retreat leader, and creator of the Smarter Living Blueprint. A former jazz artist turned neuroscience-based coach, she helps professionals rewire their minds for peace, purpose, and prosperity. After overcoming addiction and burnout, she discovered how to turn these challenges into catalysts for growth. And now she teaches others how to get lucky on purpose. Get ready to learn the science of intentional success and discover how to live and lead smarter with confidence. Welcome, my friend, to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm like, wow, is she talking about me? Wait a minute. Wow.
Well, I am so privileged to have you on the show today.
Thank you. Me too.
For those of you who don't know you and aren't familiar with your work, I actually got the privilege of reading your manuscript for your latest book, which we can touch on, and so blown away by the Smarter Living Blueprint, by what you said about luck. Because I think so many people think that life happens to them. They think that luck is for other people and not for them. And they don't know how to tap into it. But what I love about what you said in the book and what you say through your work is that luck is actually intentional. You can make it happen for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about that, because people are dying to know.
I would like to share this one story that I share a lot about how to intentionally create luck in your life. And I've had many moments in my life where people would say, oh my God, you're so lucky. But really, it wasn't luck. Maybe in my mind, I was thinking I was lucky too, but I was rewiring the way I was thinking, living, speaking, which would attract things in my life. So one moment in particular, before, I always say in my past life, I was a music tour manager in Nashville, Tennessee, and a performer as well. And I burned out at 41, and I decided to leave the music industry because it was just too much for me. And I felt this calling to do more, but I just didn't know what it was. Living in my savings, I'm Canadian, so I was here in the US on different visas, and I'm like, oh my gosh, my life is over. I'm living in my savings. I almost got nothing left. What is going to happen? So I swear to God, Tara, I think I had like $800 left in my account. And I thought, I'm good. That's it. My life is over. But before that, I had, my BMW and good jobs, and I was touring. And for some reason, I knew I had to move forward. And one day I remember thinking, okay, you know what? I'm broke. I was renting a small room from a friend's house. And I thought, I'm homeless. I don't even have a place to live. Like, what is going on? Like, what have I done with my life? And I started to think, you're a loser. You didn't do well. You failed. Your family's going to be embarrassed of you. And I thought, if I continue to think this way, this is going to drive me even more down, even more in a path that I don't want. And I had been sober for a while during that time. And I thought, this is not the route to take. What would it look like for me to have abundance? What would I be doing right now? And I remember I was sitting on the floor in the kitchen and crying, going, God, what am I supposed to do? And that's when I thought, okay, first of all, I had this peace that just appeared, and my mind got really clear. And I thought, what would I do if I was to have abundance right now? The same way that I lived, the way I lived, but not having it. Let's adapt this type of attitude right now because I know how it feels. I've done it.
Wow.
And so I remember for about 2 weeks, I would wake up in the morning, I would write in my journal, thanking God for all my blessings and all the ones to come. And I am so thrilled of my life. I am so happy. Things are moving forward. I've got full trust. I knew, and the hardest thing was what I could see in my life was not what I was trying to feel. I was like, oh my God, this is so crazy. But I thought, no, I need to do this. I need to adapt this feeling to get into that frequency, that energy of abundance. Maybe about 2.5 weeks later, I get an email from a financial advisor that I had hired back in 1999. And this was in 2011 when I had my moment.
Wow.
And he said, Josée, we need to talk, I'm like, okay. And I'm thinking, why does he want to talk to me? I had completely forgotten about him because I had left the government when I was 32. So that was quite a few years past, almost 10 years. And so I give him a call and he asked me, he said, you haven't lived in Canada for the last 2 years, have you? And I'm like, no, I'm in Nashville, Tennessee. And he said, well, you hired me back then to take money out of your paycheck for retirement savings. I'm thinking, oh yeah, I remember that. And he says, well, you have investments here in Canada that you can no longer keep here because you're not a resident. You have to. And I'm thinking, I have investments? I had no idea. I couldn't, and I said, well, how much do I have? I'm thinking $500, $1,000, but almost 50 grand.
Wow.
When he said that, I first of all dropped the phone. I was like, are you kidding me right now? This is unbelievable. Out of the blue, something came to and said, here's abundance. And over the years, I've had so many things like that happen to me just because I was willing to open my mind to feeling the abundance before, to get in that mindset before. That's how I met my husband. To be honest, I went to Walmart, got a big old diamond ring. I met him. I was 45. I would drive. Oh my gosh, I'm a wife. I love being a wife, and because I didn't want to get married before in the music industry. For me, I didn't want to marry anybody in the music industry. I wanted, a little bit more structure. And that's how I met my husband. Like maybe 4 months later, I met him and I'm thinking, okay, there's something to this.
Wow.
Something to this.
Wow.
And I started thinking, what if whenever I'm creating something in my life that I adapt the mindset before it happens? And we all know the law of attraction, but as a high achiever, as a type A personality, as a logical person, for me, spirituality at some point in my life was a little too woo-woo. I thought you had to smell like patchouli and sing Kumbaya. And I was like, that's not me. Like I'm smart. I like to use my brain. And that's what got me thinking, I want to analyze, I want to study my behavior of what was my mindset when I was in my addiction. And now that I'm out of that, what is my mindset now? Like, how come I've been this lucky? And that's what made me so curious about studying neuroscience and quantum physics and all of that, and reading more about spirituality at the same time, combine both and go, okay, this is what happens.
Wow. I love that. And I have experienced similar things. And that's, when I developed my GRASS method, that's why I realized gratitude for having something that you had yet to have possession of was so powerful. And when I talked about gratitude in my TEDx talk, I talked about gratitude for the person that you were, gratitude for the person that you are, and gratitude for the person that you are becoming. And that was one of my most commonly asked questions when the book was released was, how is it possible to have gratitude for something that you don't yet have? Right? Because it's not easy and it's almost counterintuitive. It's not logical, like you're saying. But I think it has a lot to do with faith and the unseen and the unknown and the yet to be, right?
Absolutely. And this is why for me, when you, like you were saying, you know, we can't see what's going on, but we can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
What I realized that over time, what you say, your brain and your body doesn't listen to what you say. It listens to how you feel.
Yeah. Not long ago, I was a corporate sales director, unknown, overlooked, no network, and unfulfilled. But when I discovered the power of personal branding, storytelling, and confidence, everything changed. I went from being invisible to a 2-time best-selling author, international TEDx speaker, and top global podcast host, reaching thousands every year. And I want the same transformation for you, to be seen, heard, and recognized as the thought leader you truly are. From TEDx stages to top podcasts and even TV segments, I help entrepreneurs, authors, and speakers amplify their message and build unshakable confidence. Visit bestbranding.solutions and let's build your dream together.
And I remember when I started with affirmations, I'm like, oh, affirmations, I am this, I am that. Well, if you're not convinced in your body, if you're not feeling it in your body, your brain is going to pick up the fear and it's going to highlight what you're afraid of because, again, it focuses on the feeling. And then I thought, well, what if instead of saying I am happy, I am moving towards happiness? It's so much easier for the brain to adapt because then that becomes an action. And the brain wants an action. And so with faith, we add on, I prefer to be happy. I'm on my way to happiness. At that same time, I'm moving towards there. So I have to have that faith. But I'm believing it because I may not be there now, but I'm moving toward that.
Yeah.
So the body knows, oh, wait, there's an action here, And this is why for me, it was easy to say, okay, now I get this. I am moving toward more speaking engagements. I'm moving toward being a wife. I'm moving toward this. So my body was like, okay, we're in motion here. That means where we are now is not, it's temporary.
It's temporary. That's right.
Mm-hmm.
I think that is so key. And it's so fascinating how the brain works, isn't it? And when we move into the state of, like you're talking about, just getting into that space where even though you only had a couple $100 in your bank account, you were moving into that space of abundance. And it's something that you really were wanting and something that you knew you could achieve because you've achieved it in the past. And you knew the feeling of it. And I think this is really important. I would say write this down. Anybody who's watching this or listening, grab a pen and a paper and just write down the word feeling. What does it feel like to have something? So this could be applied for anything, right? Whatever our goals are. If our goal is to find our soulmate, what would it be like to already have found our soulmate, and how would that feel? What would it feel like to live in a dream house? How would that feel? And you start embodying this feeling, right? And not operating from a place of lack or scarcity, but a place of embodiment, right?
Mm-hmm. I think that I agree with you 100%. A lot of posts I see people scrolling. And for me, I find that activates the fear center in our minds.
Yes.
Because when we look at that, we're like, oh, look at where they're at. You only see a quarter, an eighth of their life. They only highlight whatever's the best, They don't know. They can't see the 10 years, 15 years of struggles that they had before they see this beautiful picture. So it's hard for someone, for example, if I'm someone who wants to, for example, I don't know, meet my soulmate.
Yeah.
And then I scroll on Instagram and I see these beautiful pictures of happy couples and someone with kids and like, oh, wow, she's lucky. How can you adapt a feeling of abundance when you're training your brain to feel like you're lacking?
That's right.
And faith is also very important.
Yeah.
I think for me, I had to really sit down and grow from the inside out, because I realized also over the years that my desires are placed in my heart for a reason by something that I do not understand.
Mm.
Why do I have the desire to be a speaker when my friend has a desire to be a genealogist? Where does that come from? There's a desire that we have in our heart that we have to have faith that that's what we're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
We're not taught that in schools.
Ooh,
You know?
that's so powerful, though. And, my favorite book, I talk about this all the time. My favorite secular book is called The Science of Getting Rich. And in that book, they talk about desire.
Mm-hmm.
And I had never thought about desire in the way they talk about in this book, but I think it is so poignant to what you're saying. Desire is, and it says in the book, desire is the infinite seeking expression through you.
Mm-hmm.
The infinite seeking expression through you. So we're all going to have different desires. We all have different purposes. We all have different callings. But when you have a specific desire and you feel like a burningness to get this out, whether it's speaking on stage or starting a podcast or writing a book, it's the infinite seeking expression through us. And once you realize that it's God seeking expression through you, it starts to transform and transmute that desire into something that is supposed to be a service for other people to grow, that it's supposed to be your calling that keeps you fulfilled in life, that brings you abundance. That makes your faith invincible, doesn't it?
It does. And that's the thing, is we're not trained to grow from the inside out.
That's right.
We're trained to go to
Wow.
school, get the degree, get married, have kids, travel, retire. Oh, there you go. Good night.
Yep.
We're done.
Yep.
And my mom said something to me not too long ago that was very interesting. She said, I always saw you as this little adventurous girl who always had plans, even as a child. And she said it almost like whenever she would say, no, we can't do that, Josée, we can't afford it. I'm like, oh, yes, we can. I'll figure something out. She said, you always took no as an opportunity to do something.
Wow.
And I thought, this is probably part of my gift. This is probably part of my calling, to show others that there is no problem. You can't, if there's a problem, there's a solution. There's a yin, there's a yang, sun, moon, man, woman. There has to be a counter of something, and when you have that desire and you have the faith that this desire has been put in your heart for a reason, I think, to me, when people choose not to honor those gifts, it's pretty selfish, because in a way you're stopping from healing someone who might need to hear your message, whether you're a leader at work who comes in with this great personality, who knows how to lead and help someone in the office how to, create this ecosystem that is just blossoming, And so for me, it's really important. This is why when I left at 32, I left my government job. I knew there was something that I was ignoring. I was denying about myself. And I was like, okay, I can't ignore this anymore. I don't know what it is. And I think the scariest part, and I've worked with clients who say, I know I want to leave, but I don't know what to do. I don't know what I want, And I said, of course you don't know what you want, because you spent years saying what you don't want.
That's true.
I don't want to be stuck in this job forever. I don't want to be, and I'm thinking, well, when you say that, you're training your brain to do exactly that. Because what we have is in our brain, we have the reticular activating system. That's our filtering system. It will highlight things that are important to you or that you focus on the most. For example, a purple car. I want to buy a purple car. I love the color purple. Next thing you know, you see purple cars all over the place, And so that's because your brain is highlighting what's important to you.
I want to stop you right there. So a couple of months ago, I had a meeting with a client and we were talking about success and opportunities. And she was like, I just don't feel like opportunities are coming to me. And I asked her this question. It's so funny you bring this up. I said, have you seen a red car today?
Mm-hmm. You did?
She said no. And I said, by the way, everyone, I have a red car. Okay. I said, you haven't seen a red car today. And she said, no. I said, I have a red car. And I said, what would happen if at the beginning of the day, let's say 8:00 in the morning, I text you and I said, I'm going to pay you $1,000 every time you see a red car. How many red cars do you think you would find? And she said, God, probably 100. And I said, you'd be one rich woman, wouldn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And she said, oh my God, I never thought about it like this. So I think you're so spot on that these, opportunities, success, luck, whatever you want to call it, is around us all the time. Sometimes we have blinders on and filters on. We can't see them, but it doesn't mean it's not there. And it doesn't mean it's not tangible for us. It doesn't mean it's not meant for us, right?
Exactly. And you'll know when something's not meant for you and when something is, because for me, from my experience, whenever I was trying to bust door down and like, oh my God, it's not working. Why is it not working? Because it was not meant for me.
It wasn't meant for you.
But we are taught that hard work will get you where you need to go, and I'm thinking, that's not really true, because everything that I've received in my life so far has been easy.
Yeah.
It's not because I didn't go through a period of growth. There's a difference here. Like right now, I'm going through a period of growth. Not much is happening, but I'm aware of that. Am I going to sit here and say, oh, nothing's happening? Why isn't my life blossoming like I want it to? No, I'm aware that this is going on. So what am I going to do? I'm going to educate myself, get on a course, study a little bit more, see where I can, I'm waiting for the editor to come back from my book. She told me at the end of October, okay, well then what am I going to do in the meantime? And so when you understand certain parts of your life, the hardest for me to learn was when nothing was happening, everything was happening, but not on my time.
Yes, not on your time. It's it's truly a divine timing. And, I think about, roots grow in the dark, don't they? They grow and nobody's watching, nobody's clapping, nobody sees it happening. I think of even bamboo, right? Bamboo and the way that it grows, the roots grow for years before you even see the products start to form, right? The bamboo. And then once it's like year 6 or something, it takes off and shoots up. But those roots have to grow for years in the dark. Again, nobody's watching. It's that hard work that nobody talks about. It's that messy middle, right? That's where the growth comes. That's where the, deepness of thought, the deepness of clarity come in. And then all of a sudden we see people skyrocket to success or luck or, but it's a long time coming. It's a long time coming, right?
It is. But at the same time, like if I think back of like, when this financial advisor called me after 2 weeks of me going through this very tough moment, I could have stayed in bed. I could have eaten bonbons and be depressed. But I thought, you know what? I'm going to learn from this moment right now, because when the big moment happens, I'll appreciate it even more, because I appreciate also those silent moments. And that's what we're afraid of. Those quiet moments that will give us clues to propel us towards where we need to go.
Mm-hmm.
And the not knowing is frightening, of course. But I don't have children, but if you have, you're pregnant, you know that about 9 months, the baby will come. Well, you don't go to the doctors at month 3 and going, where is it? Why is it not coming?
That's a good analogy.
What is going on here? Like, hello, I'm done with this. Like, come on,
Mm-hmm.
Doctor would say, Tara, it usually takes 9 months for the baby to, we know a deadline. This is why we're so calm.
Yeah.
Because we know that there's a deadline for this. It's coming. But when we don't know that deadline, we tend to want to just stick to the comfortable. And that does not, quote unquote, bring us luck.
That's right.
Because it's predictable. Creating your own luck is sitting in the pocket of uncomfortableness, if that's even a word, because you want to tap into your desire.
Yes.
So when you're in quiet times of gestation and reflection, that's when you start seeing, oh, okay, I need to do this, and this will take me there. I don't know what my end goal is. I don't know when it's going to happen, but I have to trust that it will. You could have had that baby at 7 months, but you knew it was coming. You just didn't know when. And you had that full on trust, enjoying going shopping and, buying things for the baby. I had a client the other day where she had this desire. And I said, think of it as a universal Amazon cart. You put your desire in your Amazon cart, click, order placed. You know it's coming. Order on the way. You just saw it. Order on the way. But you have to trust that it will get to you when the time is right.
Mm-hmm.
Have you ever had an email saying, oh, I'm sorry, your package is delayed? Oh, okay, well, it's delayed. We trust this. Why can't we trust the process of our own personal development to be the best that we can be, and know that these desires are placed in our hearts for a reason, and that we have to trust the process of it? Life doesn't end like, it's not a paint by number type of thing.
Shucks. Oh, shucks.
And this is why when people say, oh my God, Josée, you're so lucky, like, oh my God, I don't think I am. I think I really trusted life for what it had to give me, make the best of it, find opportunities where there was, pivot when you can. And this is where the smarter framework came, because after a few years of studying and trying to figure out how can I teach that? How can I teach someone how to be lucky on purpose? The reason I came up with smarter framework back in my high achieving goals before I burned out, I was always sticking to the SMART goal, like something that's sizable, measurable, achievable. I can't remember what the acronym looked like, what they mean anymore, but I kept on saying, I need to be smarter with my life. I need to work smarter with this, And so I thought, okay, when I realized that spirituality and science could mix well together by, for me, when I say spirituality or soul, I talk about prayer. I talk about meditation. I talk about walking, exercising, quiet moments. Science is, how can I train my brain to do what I want?
That's right.
Exact. So when you're practicing soul spirituality, you're in quiet moment, you're journaling, or you're thinking of something, you're pondering.
Mm-hmm.
Well, during that moment, at the same time, you're scientifically training your brain to think a certain way. So that's why for me, I was like, smarter is like a spiritual path, but it's smarter because it's logic, because we're still using our minds, And so the first one, S, is self-awareness. what's my deal? What's going on in my life right now?
Mm.
What am I denying? What am I not accepting? What am I blaming others for when really I should be working it on myself? When you point one finger at one, there's three back at you. And for mindfulness, where am I at today? Where do I need to be? What are my thoughts? And authenticity is embracing the messy me.
Yeah.
I would hate to be perfect. It's way too much work, too stressful. I've got messes, I've got baggage, I've got this. We all do. There's no perfection, and resilience is knowing that when you're in that silence, this too shall pass. Nothing lasts forever. So you got to find comfort in this and find reasons, I'm here because of this. This too shall pass, and then trust, have faith, know that the path you're in, just keep going. Yeah. Just keep going, because the wheel of life turns all the time. Even people say, oh, I don't like change. Well, surprise, if you look 10 years past, your life has changed, And then emotional intelligence is when you have a moment of, confusion, don't panic, don't freak out. It's normal. You can learn from those moments, actually, more about yourself, And then the R is for reflection. If need be, pivot. You can change your mind. You can start over right now.
It's so timely. And I love how you have this wrapped up in a package to where it's tangible, where people can follow it. Because we need these reminders, right? Mm-hmm. We need these reminders. I love the authenticity part of your framework as well, because again, we were talking about constant comparison on social media. Ultimately, your calling, your purpose in life is not compared to anybody else, what anybody else is doing. You and I are on similar tracks, but does that mean we're competing? No, we're collaborating, right? Mm-hmm. I honor your purpose. I honor your calling. And it just because you succeed, I think this is another really important part. Just because someone else is succeeding, just because someone else is becoming wealthy, does not in any way take away from anyone else. Mm-hmm. And all too often, we let that comparison steal our joy, steal our confidence, and lead us to competing with somebody else. And chances are that other person doesn't consider anybody else at all. They're focused on their lane, right? Mm-hmm. They're living in their purpose. They're driven by their calling. So I think this is really important. But I want to take us back a little ways, because your story is too profound not to talk about. Because it wasn't always this way, right? So I know you have said in the past that people have asked you, how'd you get so lucky and all of these things. But there was a time on a train track. Mm-hmm. And I think it's really important that people see the rock bottom point so that they can see that whole story. Because like you said, too often we don't tell that whole story. We only see the highlight reel. Mm-hmm. Take us back to that time when things were different for you, when things looked bleak. I would love to hear a little bit more about that part of your story.
I had an alcohol addiction, and it started when I was very young. And there was a lot of anger in my life that I had. And it's funny you say this, because as strong as a person I am, and confident, and I look back at my life and I'm like, what was I thinking? Like, I numbed my pain with alcohol. I had jobs that I didn't like, that I knew I didn't belong, but with peer pressure and society, I have to do this, and I love my mom, and I have absolutely, excuse me, no resentment against her. But when I was 18, she had said she moved with her boyfriend, who was an incredible man, and my two younger siblings. And she said to me, well, I was married at 18, and you're dating this young gentleman, and you're going to get married one day. So I'm pretty sure that you can do your own, you can go on your own. And I wanted to go to college that year, to university, to study business management. And I thought, oh, I didn't even know how to pay rent, because I was living with my mom and my siblings. And all of a sudden she says, I'll leave you some of the furniture. You'll be fine. And I'm thinking, okay, we don't have our father in our life. And now my mother's leaving. What have I done to deserve that no parent wants me? That was my thought process. And so I became so angry at life. Like, why is this unfair? Why is this put on me, that I have to start my life at 18? So I didn't go to school. I got a job, and my young boyfriend then said, well, I'll move in with you, and we'll just make it happen, and it was such a talk. We didn't know what love was. He was 19. I was 18. I mean, come on, we just made the best that we could. There was a lot of drinking, and there was a lot of fighting, and a very, very toxic relationship. And then we got engaged when I was 24. I was supposed to get married with him when I was 25. We stayed for quite a while. And I knew, I can't do this. I just can't. So I left 4 months before the wedding. And then just basically, I think at that point, I was so mad at my mom that I didn't want to have her be right, that I had to get married and have kids. I was like, I'm doing the opposite. I told you that I was not going to do what, blah, blah, blah. So living with this confusion in my mind, who I was, what I was supposed to do, I felt I always had to prove myself, because I must not be good enough to be just left like that at 18, to my own demise. I was very angry at God, very angry at my parents, very angry at my younger siblings. Like, what did they do to deserve mom? And what did I do to not deserve any of a parent, And so I numbed with alcohol, and it took me in places and situations that, I almost died a couple of times. And this train track in particular, I went to a Halloween party with one of my best friends, and it was outside in a cornfield back in Canada, because I'm from Canada. And I would drink to just forget. For me, it wasn't social drinking. I would drink as fast as I could just to not be where I was, because I didn't want to be there, mentally, emotionally, physically. Mm-hmm. And I remember waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning. So to back up a little bit, I had rented this really nice Sylvester the cat, from Bugs Bunny, a really nice plush costume with this big old head. And I was walking around. I was, having a good old time. I woke up at 5 o'clock in the morning by the vibration of the ground. And I thought, I don't know where I was. I just kind of woke up, and I felt like something cold on my back. I was laying down on a train track. What woke me up was the train was coming. So there was the vibration of the track of the train, the oncoming train. And I barely just rolled over, and the train went by, and I could feel the wind, and I'm thinking, am I dying? Am I dead? And the first thing I thought was, what am I doing here? I had no costume. I was just wearing my underwear. My body was full of dry mud. And I thought, what am I doing here? I had no recollection. And that was not even my my rock bottom.
Wow.
It was not even close to it. And I've had episode, of that in my life. At one point, that was where I got close to my rock bottom. Was I was touring with an artist in Canada, and so in the music industry, drinking is permitted, right? You got to drink. It's
encouraged, I think.
Courage. It's the party. It's, and when you work on the behind the scenes, like when you're as a manager, tour agent, or whatever it is, there's the party after the show, and then there's the after party, and then there's the after party, and then there's the after party. Those are the ones that I would go to.
The after party.
Oh, yes. And I remember one we were in Quebec. So, with bands, they close the bar and then it's just us and we have a lot of fun and all this stuff and everything's flowing easily. And I remember one morning waking up in my hotel room and there was no bed sheets on the bed. And one of the artists was in the room and I woke up and I'm like, what are you doing here? And he said, Josée, you almost died last night. I'm like, last night? What do you mean? He goes, I needed to pick up something. Because when I was as the tour manager, one of the artists had the key to if they needed, song list or whatever it is, that they would have the key to my room in case they needed something and I wasn't available. So he said, I can't remember whether it was a songbook or something. And he said, I went in and I could hear gurgling. And I thought, Josée, he was around 6:00 in the morning. And I was basically choking on my own vomit.
Wow.
And he turned me to my side and picked up all the bed sheets and washed them. He went to the laundromat and put them, had the hotel, there was a laundromat and he put them there. And I was like, he says, you almost died. I didn't know what to do. I couldn't wake you up. And I thought, these people, I'm responsible for them. Like, what happened? And I was what we call a functioning alcoholic. I never missed a day. I was super professional. I was extremely reliable and nobody knew my secret.
Nobody knew your secret.
Because I would do it in hiding. I would have a couple of drinks with people, but then I would go to my hotel room and then just, go nuts.
Wow.
And the reason why I got into my rock bottom is when I was a child. I remember when I was about 7 or 8 years old. My father's a tour bus driver, so he was never home. But when he was home, he was in his basement listening to Johnny Cash, And I remember as a kid, I would hear the music, the bass when you play music in the house, boom, 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 with Johnny Cash. And I was like, oh, Dad's home. So I would rush downstairs. And I remember one day peeking into he had kind of like an office and he was sitting down with tears running down his face. And I thought, why is he sad? And my rock bottom moment is when I came out from a blackout, I was in the exact position that I had seen my father in, sitting, crying. And that's when I thought, I can't live like this anymore. I knew that I wasn't in the right positions in jobs. I knew that I wasn't honoring my gifts. I knew that I wasn't tapping into my own power. And I was always trying to save the world, but really I needed to save myself. And December 29, 2008 is when I said, I'm done. I'm done. I can no longer do this. And I had to rely on a power greater than me. Then I had to trust that I was going to be led from my God, source, universe, heart intelligent, my inner wisdom, whatever it was, my soul, that it knew better than I knew myself. And in my book, I talk about that at the first beginning where, in 2023, with my wellness center that I owned, I was doing a yoga retreat in Costa Rica and I had surprised my husband and my best friend. I was 52. With a private plane ride from San Jose to Montezuma, Costa Rica. And I remember being, looking out the window and seeing the ocean. And I thought, how did I get here?
Wow.
Because it reminded me of that same question when I asked 30 years prior, wearing my underwear on a train track, almost dying, asking, how did I get here?
Mm.
And so you can come around.
You can. No matter where you are.
No matter where you are. I mean, seriously, I mean, I when you believe and when you know you can change your life, you can. And I think this is why, for me, I'm so passionate about retraining your thoughts to succeed, because I know what it's like to almost be homeless. I know what it's like to drink so much you don't even know who you are. You can't even walk. People have to drag you out of wherever you're at. Hating the world, blaming everybody else for my misery.
Yeah.
And after a while, I did talk to my mom about that incident when I was 18. And I said, Mom, why did you do that? I hated you. I felt abandoned by you. Like, why did you do this? And she said, when you were born, I had you in my arms, and my grandma, my mom, her mom was beside her. And she said, I was going to give you the bottle. And it's almost like you said, Mom, I got this. Give it to me. My grandmother told my mom, this one's going to go far. She won't need you as much. And you're going to have to be okay with that, because she's going to be a little strong young woman. She won't need you as much. And you're going to have to be okay with that. Because my mom was very mother hen.
Mm-hmm.
So she said, I always saw you as an independent person, even as a child. And I knew she's going to be okay. I don't need to worry about this one. So my mom never did anything because she didn't love me. She did it because she did.
Yeah.
Because she believed in my power that I wasn't seeing.
Wow.
And today I have a wonderful relationship with my mom. She has dementia, and I'm there as much as I can for her. But when I realized that, I thought, wow, she did see all that I wasn't seeing and that I was denying, and was blaming her. And everything just poof. I was like, oh my God,
Yeah. And that's when you can experience forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when you can release the past. Because so often the past can feel like we're wearing chains, right? And dragging something behind us. But I think it's important to think of the past as, what lessons can we learn? Because ultimately we don't know somebody's intention. We'll never know somebody's intention, maybe. But I just think your story is so powerful, because there's so many people out there right now who are listening to this that may be at that point where you were in Canada, whether it's on the train track, in the hotel room, or some other space where they're saying, my life is meaningless. Do I have a purpose? What can I do? How can I overcome? How can I step into confidence and prosperity and abundance? What would you say to somebody who's listening to this show right now, who's feeling like that right now?
Wherever you're at, I would encourage you to sit down, or even lay down on the floor. And notice in your body where you're feeling this discomfort, because it's trying to teach you a lesson. It's trying to talk to you. Chances are you may cry, but it's okay. Let it out, because this is your step forward to healing and finding what it is that you already have. You don't have to search for anything. You don't have to go find anything. It's already in you. But you have to quiet yourself enough to listen to that. And I know for me, as jittery as I am and go, when I did that, I knew I was on my way to something that was going to change my life. And it's not do more, it's do less. Do less. Before you're done at work, Sit in your car for a minute or two before you start it. When you get home, sit for a minute or two before you go in. Just listen to that pause. Because because you feel this way, there has to be a change. You know it.
I think that's great advice because so many people, especially our listeners, they're high performers, and I've been there where I'm still a high performer. Trust me, once you claim that badge.
I agree.
Yeah.
I'm also a high performer, but I perform in a way that's more aligned.
Yes, exactly. And I feel like my best ideas come to me when I pause. This past really 2 months has kind of been rough for me personally. I'll just be open and admit that. My dad, I found out he passed away in, the beginning of September. I didn't have a relationship with him, but it's a different kind of grief, I guess. And then my dog, who I had for over 14 years, he passed away just last weekend. So I've had some time to reflect and to think. And I'll be honest, for a couple of days, I didn't really feel like doing a lot. And, that's okay. But today I woke up finally with a different energy, a different level of energy, and said, this too shall pass. Everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And I started to find the gratitude again. I started to find the calmness and the peace again. And, life is hills and valleys. It's never going to be, the peak of Everest all the time. It's not realistic. All right.
I think that, and, I got a little pinch in my heart when you said you lost your dog. I also lost mine, but she died in 2022. And it's challenging.
It is.
But I thought, what did this Lexapoo bring me? What did she teach me? She was a little Boston Terrier, and she was just so beautiful. And you know what she gave me? She gave me the opportunity to love something so much that it hurts when you lose them.
That's right.
The love that she was receiving from me and the love that I was receiving from her. I don't have any kids, so she was my fur baby. I was like, man, wow. Now I know how to love something so much your heart wants to explode. And oh man, I mean, how can I be sad about that?
Exactly. It's so true. And I want to also point out that you texted me that day that I posted about my dog, and I'm really grateful for that. So thank you. It's very kind of you. So much to unpack here, and there's so much wisdom, so much richness of thought, so much depth of human experience. And I think my main takeaway from this conversation is luck can be intentional. Anybody can have it. I love the way you point out it starts with awareness of feeling, where in your body may be laying down. And I do want your expertise to help our listeners, because I really want them to have something actionable they take away today. But I love the fact that we start at where we are now, and then we can develop a feeling of what we want and harness it almost like a generator. I think of it as a generator.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And
Makes sense.
I feel like God is an endless power generator. There's nothing he can't create. There's nothing he can't give us. And if we have a desire in our hearts, again, that is the infinite seeking expression through us. So it's our divine, responsibility to align with those desires intentionally and to pursue them. What would you say to people right now who they're saying, okay, all right, ladies, I want to take this today and I want to start becoming lucky. Can you give someone a step or two?
Yes,
Going for it?
absolutely. First of all, willingness and honesty. So if someone asks you, how are you? And we usually say, I'm fine.
Yes.
Start by saying, I'm doing my best.
I'm doing my best. Yep.
Because you're not lying to yourself, because you're not fine. You're doing your best. So your brain is going to start picking up on that and will start highlighting things in your life that show you, you know what, Todd, Paul, Janine, Chantal, Dennis, you are doing your best. And then from there, your mood is going to change. Affirmations are very, very good to help you change the neuroplasticity of your brain. So if you want to say, I'm happy, but you really don't feel like you are because your brain's not going to believe it, start by saying, I'm on my way to. Start writing, I'm moving toward happiness. I'm moving toward a better job. I'm moving toward opening my own business. Start by training your brain slowly, little bits like that. And soon enough, you'll start seeing changes in your life and you'll be like, oh my God, this is working. This is working. Because your brain will pick up on what it is that you say and how you feel. So if you feel, I'm doing my best, that is the truth.
That's the truth. Yeah. You know what I like to say too? I like to say, people probably that are on the road probably think I'm like a crazy person because I'm talking to myself the whole time when I'm driving.
I do the same way. So
it's all right? Join the club. But when I'm driving, I like to say, it's happening. It's happening. It's happening. Yep. And I gradually take it up and take it up and take it up and take it up until I get so excited that it is happening. And it doesn't matter what it is. You can put in, it's happening. I just won the lottery, whatever.
Yep.
Whatever floats your boat. It's happening. I just landed a TEDx talk. It's happening. Yes. I just landed something. Say it until you like you're tingly. I like
and even simpler, Tara, we can say, oh my God, it's happening. I went through 3 green lights in a row. Because that's feasible. That is possible. And it is exciting.
I love that. I love
just these plain things. Or I got a grocery buggy that doesn't squeak. Woohoo. Yes. Little silly things like that will get you in the mindset of, oh my God, life is simple. Life is joyful. And another thing too, every morning I write in my journal, I'm always at the right place, at the right time, meeting the right people for the right reasons and for everybody's highest good. Every morning I write that. So my mind, what do you think my brain goes toward? Okay, boop, 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 boop. Who's next? Who are you going to meet?
I love that. I love that about you, that you're always looking toward everybody's highest good. That is something that we could all benefit from really embodying. It's not about one person winning. It's about how can we win on a collective scale.
Absolutely.
It's
because we're all energy. So the more energy that thinks alike, the more we're going to create this beautiful world of peace and joy and freedom. All we want is freedom, right? We want money because we want freedom. We want a partner because we want freedom. We want this because we want to feel free.
That's right. I love that. It's a philosophy I have in business as well. If there's a loser on any end of the spectrum, whether it's a customer, a vendor, a partner, doesn't matter, then it is not worth pursuing, period. It's only worth pursuing if everybody wins. I love creating win-win situations. And you do that on repeat enough, all of a sudden you have so many advocates out there for you, for your business, for your brand, that it creates a snowball effect, a ripple effect of change that we don't know the outcome that it could possibly have. It really is limitless. Any final last words of wisdom? And then I do want to also mention that you are available to speak, hire this lady to speak at your next event or conference because she will change people's lives. I'm just going to put that quick little advertisement in for you. Hire this lady. But yes, any last words of wisdom that you have for our audience today?
Don't be afraid to say I'm scared. Don't be afraid to admit that you may not know everything, because that is what's going to bring you that first little step of freedom.
Yeah.
I've seen the dark side. I've seen the lighter side. So maybe at the end of this podcast, you'll be like, oh yeah, look at her. Her life is so good. But I hope you listened to the whole thing, because you'll notice that it wasn't always all good for me. But as soon as I decided this has to change, I had to do it for me and nobody else. I had to save my own self by taking one small step at a time and knowing that this too shall pass, and someone is out there who can guide me toward what's best for me. And that is you.
Oh, wow. I love it. Where can everybody find out more about you online? Where can they connect up with you, my friend?
I spend a lot of my time on LinkedIn, which is a wonderful family. I love LinkedIn. And of course, under my name, Josée Madison. I also have my website, joseemadison.com. If you feel like you want to attend a retreat and hear more of my work and work with me during those 7 beautiful days in the jungle of Costa Rica, you can find that also on LinkedIn or on my website. There's only a few spots left. I rented the whole retreat to myself. So it's going to be like it's our own little house, our own little place, 25 of us. So I think there's 5 or 6 spots left. And let's meet. Let's change. Let's do all this good stuff.
Let's change. Let's transform. Let's become the best version of ourselves. Let's become the person that luck is magnetically attracted to in 2026 and beyond, folks.
Oh, yes. I feel it for you. I feel it for you all. Yes.
I know. I love it.
It's happening.
It's happening. Yes, it's happening. Start driving down the road with me.
I'm going to do that this afternoon, actually. I'm going to do it.
You know, it's crazy. I will have one little segue here. This is real, folks. So this is like a little example, but it's real. So I'm just going to share it. A couple of months ago, I was driving like I do, and I said, I wish I had some bath salts because I wasn't feeling very good that day, and I really wanted a Epsom salt bath, but I didn't have time to stop at the store. Can I tell you, I drove to my mom's house, which she's right across the street from me. We're neighbors. You know what she hands me? The biggest tub of bath salts I've ever seen in my life.
There you go. Boom.
Boom. It manifesting and luck actually can be almost instant when you're aligned.
Yes.
And when you believe it, when you say it, when you embody it. So don't think of this as something that happens forever in the future and you can't barely even understand it. It can happen very quickly, just like your example with the bank as well.
Yep.
Guys, start getting lucky, start being confident. We will see you on the next episode, my friends. Take care.